part of the staff in I left out the last year, 1999?
I came on 1990.
1990, I left out the 0. I was in a rush. He was appointed as the John Birch Society Field Director in 2000. He appeared on numerous TV and radio shows and as a speaker at many organizations, and he is a well sought after speaker. He's very knowledgeable in this area. So I hope you enjoy listening to what he's got to say. Kip Webster is the field director for the John Birch Society. I am a member of the John Birch Society, and they've been extremely helpful to me in organizing and trying to fight this UN agenda that we're facing right now. So anyone who would like to, you could definitely join as well. Kip, one time we went to the Haverstraw Street Fair, and we put out an Agenda 21 table, and we stood there all day asking people if they knew about Agenda 21. And we had this big sign on the table, and there was at one point where our supervisor of Haverstraw came by, and I went over to him and I said, Howie, do you know about Agenda 21? And he said, yes, Lynn, I do. So I said, great. So we're due for a meeting soon. Okay.
Well, thank you, Lynn.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you, folks. Thanks for coming out. And now this is a workshop as opposed to a general informational meeting. So how many people have heard of Agenda 21, know a lot about it? Okay, so a few people it might be new to. So I'm sure you're going to learn a lot just by this presentation I'm giving. But I've given up close to 80, maybe a little more than 80 presentations on this subject in the last 2 years. And a whole lot down in, thanks to Kip, down in New Jersey and Connecticut, and a few here in New York. I was in upstate New York, Fort Edward. And funny how fast things happen. There was a couple of county supervisors there. And the next morning, one of them got a hold of one of our members and said, I'm ready to roll with a resolution. They got it passed, I think, 2 nights ago. And they're saying no to Como's sustainable development. So lots of good things are happening around the country. And I think our tactic we're sort of like behind enemy lines here in the Northeast, or as some people say, the pagan belt. Our best bet is to fight it at the local level, although we still have to have, fight it at every level, but the local town level or county level is probably the best way to go. And in Massachusetts, we actually got a bill introduced to kick Agenda 21 out of the whole state. Now, will that bill pass? Unless it's divine intervention at Beacon Hill, probably not. But lots of people are going to learn a whole lot about it. We're going to testify at the hearing, you see. And it's going to help us. It's also going to put these politicians on record that you support this. And we've got some towns 3 towns that quit ICLEI in Massachusetts in the last year or so. And we have something I'll talk about called green communities. And a number of towns have said no to green communities that would probably say yes had it not been for the efforts of not just the Birch Society, but other organizations. But back in 1992, the Birch Society was one of the few organizations talking about this, and people would come to the meetings and say, gee, we thought you were crazy, now you're proving it by talking about this Agenda 21, you see, but now it's in your front yard. Now it's not so crazy because it's here, we can see it everywhere. So and this is only about an hour long. I know the library closes at 9, I guess, all right? So do we have to be out promptly?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have to sort of, so if I kind of get talking too much, give me the 10-minute warning and then a vaudeville hook, okay, kind of wrap, because we want to wrap it up by 8:30, and then time to talk and network. And by the way, please leave your information if you haven't, if you want to be in touch with us, which I hope you do, because it's a call to action. This isn't just more information. But Kip has some material that I recommend, and I have some things that overlap a little bit. One of the books is called Global Gun Grab. Not directly related to Agenda 21, but they're parallel. You have no land, you have no rights, if you don't have any land, you can't protect your land, you see. And of course, what's happened in New York is pretty bad. This book came out in 2001, by the way. I have some on the table that you may, they're $5 a piece. One of the best DVDs, now the John Birch Society came out with a very good DVD, a 20-minute one that Kip has and I have. They're $1 a piece. And I have one that I like to use because of its title, Agenda 21 for Public Officials. $2 for this by John Anthony. Some of you probably know John Anthony. He's probably been in the area. I think he lives in New Jersey. But I've used this, it's on YouTube, and I put it up on my YouTube channel about a year and a few months ago, maybe 14 months ago. I've got about 11,000 views, over 11,000 views already. That's just one person doing that, okay? So these are $2 a piece, and I've got, Kip has these little booklets here, phenomenal little booklet about Agenda 21. So if this is new to you, for what, a whole $1? You can get one of these and you can become an instant expert on the subject. This was put out by a New Jersey guy, Kip got involved, Christian Gomez, who's now at our headquarters in Appleton. And the New American Magazine, I have a few sample copies, Outstanding Mess are the most recent, and we have some reprints. And Kip, on his table, has this reprint that we came out with February 2011 New American Magazine, and we've distributed hundreds of thousands of these. Selectmen, town managers, mayors, members of Congress, city councilors, state reps, what have you. This is also up on cyberspace, and if you like, I can give you a link to my, what they call Scribd. You know what Scribd is? Scribd.com? It's like a YouTube for documents. I've got quite a collection of information on Agenda 21 on my Scribd. And think about, who's on Facebook here, by the way? Good. It's a great place to copy and paste information. So, and then I got a couple of posters. They're 3 for $1. These things you can actually mail as giant postcards. I'm going to talk about these, especially this one here. Okay. Finding Agenda 21 in your community is the name of the talk here. And you see some smiling faces. This was in Belfast, Maine, this past October 24th. What a great day to do this. That's the day the UN was, their UN founding day, right? And we had an outreach there. Had about 12 or 15 people holding several banners around town. We got news coverage, and we chose Belfast because it was one of 5 towns in Maine that belonged to Ickley. As we were doing the outreach, we don't call them demonstrations because we weren't demonstrating, we were outreaching. We were trying to let people know about this. I got a call from City Hall. One of the flyers we made up especially for the town had my phone number on it, and the lady at City Hall said, "We left Ickley a while ago." I said, "Really?" "Well, you're still listed on the website." And within like a day or two, that was taken off their website, the Ickley website. So, so you might see some towns listed that aren't members, you know, and some towns say, "Oh, we're not in there anymore," and they are in there. Gee, politicians lie. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness. So, a workshop, first off, is to understand the issue. You don't have to be a walking encyclopedia. I'm not. There may be a few people that are, and those folks usually aren't that very good communicating. You know? They have too much information. They're not good about communicating to people. I'm going to help you identify Agenda 21's various entities in your town, county, and state. And it's interesting because I travel throughout the Northeast, and I'm going to town halls and city. I can write a book on city halls and town halls I've been in, because a lot of them are really little historical societies, and you go in there. But I look for evidence of Agenda 21, and so identify others in your community who may be working to oppose Agenda 21 or aspects of Agenda 21. You've got a lot of like people in the real estate business. Yeah, and you know, the National Realtors Association was at one point, maybe still are, sponsoring Ickley. Why would they do that? Ickley doesn't want to build single-family homes. That's the whole thing about buy your own home, the American dream, right? People who own service stations. In Massachusetts, there was this group, there was a law, they wanted to pass a law that said you can only get your car fixed at a certified dealership. What was the goal? To get all those small gas service stations put out of business. We stopped it, by the way. Right? So there's all kinds of allies out there. And then how to communicate with your local officials, elected officials, appointed officials, etc. How to communicate with the local media, newspapers, online news. Do you have anything called Patch down here? Yeah, I think that's owned by AOL. Wicket Local, do you have that as well? That's sort of a New England, Wicket is a New England thing here, right? TV, cable TV, public access, hosting educational meetings like this at your local venues, or even in your home, you know. Sponsor videos on the subject at the local access station. sponsor outreach events, and I know you folks do that already. I know you have information tables, street fairs, county fairs, things like that. Distribute information by targeting individuals, opinion holders, and the general public with flyers, pamphlets, etc. And cyberspace on Facebook groups. So let's first identify it. Now, when your town belongs to ICLEI, you go to their website, iclei.org, and you look and scroll down members, and you see USA. Okay, my town is a member. That's easy to, how about other aspects of it? Because they don't make it that easy. But if you know what to look for, now in New Hampshire, they have something called Granite State Future. It looks sounds, well, what's wrong with that, right? Just look into what they advocate, then you know exactly what they want. So here's some of the buzzwords that are helpful to you, okay? And they're always changing the buzzwords. They're adding new ones. They're getting rid of some. Sustainable development. Now, we've all heard that, and most of us know what that means, right? Public-private partnerships. Well, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Oh, we get the private sector involved with the public. Mussolini had a word for that. What was the word that he had for it? Fascism, right. Now, it's without the goose-stepping, right? Conservation easements. Okay, you have 100 acres or 50 acres or 2 acres, and yeah, maybe you don't want a Walmart there. Maybe you shouldn't have to have a Walmart there. But then you sell your easement to a land trust, and you've just lost your property rights. And that land trust, they can go out and sell it to the federal government. Did you know that? So look out for conservation easements, okay? How about your open space committees? Most towns, since Agenda 21 started, has an open space committee. In open space, well, we all want to have open space in our towns, right? Open space is also private property. That they don't always like to tell you, right? Mixed-use housing. Well, that's a term in real estate, right? But when they talk about these, bringing in these groups to come in and have these visionary sessions, they talk about mixed use. Well, that means retail and wholesale, or retail and some residential. They may not tell you that it's Section 8. They may not tell you that they're going to relocate people that will vote against your interests a whole lot. You see, they don't like to tell you that right away, right? Sounds nice. Woman for a coffee shop. Bring your beret and a copy of Nation magazine and enjoy yourself, right? Climate change. See, they don't like to say global warming anymore, right? So now it's climate change. I visited a website, Dedham, Massachusetts, the conservation site, right? The energy officer. And on this website, it said the purpose of this in Dedham is we have to combat our rapidly diminishing fossil fuels and the imminent threat of climate change. Wow, well, of course, you have to. So I actually got a hold of this lady. She's an environmental scientist, 4-year degree from UMass Amherst. Actually, I have a friend who's on the other side of the spectrum that took those similar classes. So anyway, I got a hold of her and I said, have you heard of the Marcellus Shale? I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. The shale, I said, where they found enough gas, natural gas, which is pretty clean, to last about 400 years of present consumption. Did you ever hear about the 30,000 plus scientists in the United States alone that have signed a petition and said there's no man-made global warming? I said, so what's this all about? Didn't want to deal with it after that. She's the one that brought ICLEI into Dedham to scare people into giving up their freedoms. How about smart growth? Do we all know what smart growth is? Yeah, so that's another buzzword, smart growth. Of course, ICLEI, green jobs, land trusts. And the land trust, since the biodiversity treaty was shot down back in the mid-90s, thanks to Dr. Michael Kaufman and a few others, you've all seen that map, most of you have. They're implementing it through federal, state, and local land trusts. Yes?
Could you explain ICLEI? I never heard that before.
Oh, ICLEI is the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. Local Government Sustainability. It was founded at the UN in 1990 for the purpose of implementing Agenda 21 at the local town, city, and county level. About 12,000 members around the world, and guess what? More than half of them, well, a little less than half, are here in the United States. And why is that? Because you folks are the biggest threat to the planet. Why? Middle class. How many people here are middle class? How about a little bit above middle class? Ah, that's good. You see, you're a threat because of your consumption patterns. That's what they tell us in their writings and their speeches. Anyway, green codes. You have a green code. That's a new code, building codes. When you might see this bill, oh, TD Bank is new and going green because they just built a building down the street from my home. Well, they have to be green because those are the building codes in Boston. And I mean, I believe that if you have a business, you're going to build something, it should be built to last. It should be built for the environment, you know, for the cold weather. Make sure it's, you know, it's going to keep the cold air out and it's going to keep the cool air in, etc. I don't need the city, I don't need the UN telling me how to do that. I think we in New England know a whole lot more about building than anyone else. We've been doing it for a long time. Future Earth, that's the new term for Agenda 21. See, it's become too controversial, so I use the term Future Earth. How about a permit bank? Does anybody know what a permit bank is? I get up to Maine quite a bit, and I was going through the town of Rockland, Maine. I was driving through. Rockland is right on the coast, the lobster capital of the world, from what they tell me, and I don't doubt it. And I saw the storefront, the Island Institute, very nice looking, with a big lighthouse, picture of a lighthouse, building sustainable coastal communities. So that was the buzzword. I went in there and I got information. They're very friendly. Went in and take this, take that. And I'm looking at it, permit bank. Well, I asked some of my friends up there that are doing a good job. They killed Gateway 1 up there about 4 years ago. You see, that's what kind of got us back involved, because it was now becoming more evident how bad this was. I said, what's a permit bank? Nobody knew. These foundations, like this Island Institute, will buy fishing permits from the federal government, you see. So you donate your money, so they get a pool of these permit banks, and what do you think they're going to do with them? Think they're going to sell them to the fishermen? They're going to keep them off just like the carbon credits. So look for permit banks. I don't know if New York may not be the biggest fishing industry, but if you like seafood, you're going to have to deal with these people because they want to get as few. And now, of course, the federal government is about to slap the most restrictive policies on what's left of the New England fishing fleet if it goes through. How about a stretch code? Now, you're in real estate, right, Lynn? You know what a stretch code is, right? You know, if you want to build something and maybe you don't do it completely by the book, you're going to get fined. But if you're in a smart growth area, that's okay. We'll stretch the codes so we can have this clustered housing. We can look the other way. We don't care if there's a lot of bad soil here. You know, there might be asbestos. You know, we don't care because it's going to be smart growth, right? How about a smart meter? You know what smart meters are? Yeah, 2-watt radio station, right? The information they get from that can be used against you in a court of law, and it's happened in some places. I was testifying at the New Hampshire State House in a subcommittee hearing a bill to get rid of ICLEI, and the new legislator, the only one in the panel, he asked me if I knew what permaculture was. I never heard of it. And somebody had their smartphone, and they said, oh, permaculture is sustainable agriculture. So that's a new term, permaculture. Sounds like a hairstyle, isn't it? Permaculture, you know? But that means, I suppose, that we farm a certain way. And I think it's important to, I love organic farming, and I think it's important to support your local farmer every chance I get. But I don't need Agenda 21 people telling the farmers who've been doing it for decades, for generations, how to raise food, you see. So these are just some of the things we need to look for. Look for terms like visionary sessions or charrettes. There's a town in New Hampshire, Ringe, New Hampshire, which holds dear to my heart. I hope to make that place our home one of these days. And there's a summer camp that we started, 5 years ago, that we use, a camp there, and called Towanippi, that we have our Camp Constitution. And you think it's got a population of about 2,500 maybe in the summertime, 38 square miles, which is as big as Boston geographically. 38 square miles, 2,000 people, sparsely populated. When I first got there in '93, there was 1 traffic light. Now I think there's 2. It's going big city, folks, big time, right? They're doing a pretty good job. When they do have development, they're able to, they'll have the building set aside, so you still have the tree line, and that's okay. Everyone seems to be okay with that. So I'm in their town hall, leaving information off, and I find this charrette. Now, what's a charrette? Charrette is a visionary session, but since visionary sessions have become controversial, they got to change the name. Charrette, it's a French term that meaning brainstorming session. So what happens is for these stakeholders, that's another buzzword, right? These are the people that usually by invitation only, that have that they can almost trust what they're going to do. They come to these sessions, and they have these facilitators. The plan's already been written. The plan's been written 20-plus years ago. They're just sort of localizing the plan. You see, that's all they're doing. Okay, we look at your major intersections and this one, and all these people sat around thinking, we have some input here. This is wonderful. And they got some federal money coming in now. They're going to redesign things, and they're going to change their master plan, and all that sounds great. And I was able to made a lot of friends up there as a result of that. And by the way, when I went to town hall, I saw a couple of these. Didn't say I couldn't take one, so in the name of the people, I expropriated one. But actually, it's been very helpful to me because you can actually go onto their website and see an example. They have all their charrettes. And it's funny because the first 5 or 6 years, they just call them visionary sessions, and they change it to charrette, right? But if you know what to look for, it's a very easy, thing to find. You may already have one in your town, okay? And so this was inside the charrette here, defining a town center. Yes, I need people from outside of my state, outside of my county, to define my town center. And there are some people in Ridge that go back, their family goes back 200 years. In fact, my people helped pioneer that town as well. So we need these people, and by the way, you see the folks, it's either where the players are, you see a lot of these contractors, landscape architects, they're doing it for the goodness, out of the goodness of their hearts, right? They're making money out of it. There's nothing wrong with making money, right? But they're making money by the free market system, by this type of feudalism. That to me is not, and I would say most of these people have no idea the root of this. I've bumped into these folks, they come to some of our meetings, they've never heard of Agenda 21. And I believe them, most of them anyway. I think they're sincere, they just have a different perspective. They think property rights people who own property should have a lot more controls than they do. They have a whole different world. They really don't care too much about the Constitution. Now here, how about Greater Albany? The Agenda 21 is called the Capital Region Sustainability Plan. But your Governor Andrew Cuomo, did he think he hatched this all by himself? This thing was hatched years ago. It's just being formalized and codified, okay? IGLEI, that's the one you asked about. Now, IGLEI in Connecticut, you don't have a whole lot, and Connecticut goes just not too far from here. How about New York? You get a whole lot in New York because it's a much bigger state. This is just a sample of some of them. Get all that? Memorize all of them? You see Austining there? Yeah, town and village, yeah. So if you got like a double header. You have to go back to town hall and the village center, right? And still more New York, right? And we're having Terrytown. Yeah, well, you expect David Rockefeller's. It was interesting too. People will say the wealthy, the people, the big homes. The Rockefellers are really the pioneers of this modern environmental movement. They're the ones that fund it. The oil people, yeah. So they tell you, oh, the oil companies and the oil companies this and the oil companies that, yeah. Well, the oil companies are funding the environmental movement, right? Big corporations are doing it. Even Walmart. Most of the people on the left side of the spectrum, oh, they hate the big box stores. And I got my issues with them too, by the way. But Walmart's sustainable. See, go to their website, you'll see all the sustainable nonsense, this green nonsense, right? By the way, every business, we'll wait back to the end, that's okay. Every business has to have sustainable practices or you're not going to be around very long. You see, I met a gentleman that, he lives in Raymond, New Hampshire. They own about 200 acres. And he said, Hal, we've been taking timber off our land for like 100 years. And he told me how many board feet. I mean, it's an enormous amount. They're doing something right without any help from the UN or from any of these, from Governor Cuomo or Governor Lynch or anyone else. They know what they're good stewards. It's stewardship because of private property, you see. When they have these forests that are off limits to humans, what usually happens? Big things called forest fires. That's what's happening in the north. Well, all the fires in the northwest because of the property, the land is not managed. It's off limits. Local membership in nationwide organizations, sustainable communities, go to that website. You probably have a sustainable New York, a sustainable Rockland County, a sustainable Westchester, sustainable this, sustainable that. Some of these are private entities. Some of them are private partnerships that were formed right in the heels, right in the wake of Agenda 21, the first meeting in 1992. Local organizations pushing Agenda 21. This is Greenfield, Massachusetts. And Greenfield did belong to IGLEI, And I actually went to their website. I was trying to get an email address, but you have to actually put the information on the site itself and they get back to you. And I said, how did Greenfield become a member of ICLEI? And they said, oh, Hal, thank you. They didn't know who I was. Oh, are you trying to get ICLEI in your town too? Oh, we're the ones that we got Greenfield, the selectmen, to sign up for ICLEI. So here's a private organization that's must be getting a lot of money. They have all kinds of programs, and they're in Greenfield, which is in western Massachusetts, is probably the most Agenda 21 hardcore in the state, with the exception of Nantucket. Nantucket was doing this stuff. It was one of the model areas. In Nantucket, you sell your property, you got to pay like 1 or 2% of your sales that goes to buy land, and half the island is already conservation land. They're not happy with half. They want to, unless you're a George Soros or somebody with some substantial means. The middle class, I have a friend that's from there, and she said they still have property that she said they want to get rid of what's left of the middle class. A lot of the people have to take the ferry to work. They can't afford to live there anymore. When the average home was $1.5 million. So these are the kinds of things, pushing people out. Connecticut, green schools, you're probably the same thing. You see that, it's funny, you see the windmill here, right? The wind turbine, it'll make those children sick if it's too close. You know, that's what they're discovering now. Some of these wind turbines, because of the low frequency sounds they're emanating. And in Falmouth, Massachusetts, they finally closed the wind turbines there after the longest time. But they were denied, just like the Agent Orange, you know, the Vietnam veterans coming home with all kinds of problems because they were throwing this stuff, these chemicals in the jungle. Oh no, it has nothing to do with why you're sick. Oh, all of a sudden people are saying, hey, we're sick because of the sound of these wind turbines. Maybe not a good idea. And in Connecticut, where we were last, we put this presentation on, so I got some recent information there. A lot of the universities are pushing this stuff, if there are state colleges especially, no doubt about it. So if you have any colleges, I'm sure you do, keep an eye on what they're doing. Green Campus Conference, this was last year. We could have had a presence there had we known about it, you know. Sustainable New Jersey, I'll be in New Jersey doing a regular presentation, but it's interesting because I was down there, 2 summers ago, Kim, and I was saying, okay, what's going on in New Jersey? I think New Jersey only has maybe, 7 or 8 ICLEI membership? Right. But Sustainable New Jersey has over 100, and they're pushing the same thing. And the people in the room at the time never heard of Sustainable New Jersey. We had a member, was right, he said, I know the mayor personally. I said, your town is a member of the Sustainable New Jersey. Oh, I don't believe it. Well, believe it. It's right there. Look for, go wherever town you're in or your county, go to the website. I mentioned earlier what I did in Dedham. Okay, go to your website and look for sustainable committees, open space committees, the planning boards, and you know what? Make an effort to go to some of these meetings. Sit in on these meetings. These are the folks that are shaping the destiny of your town or your county, and the activists on the other side are always there. So maybe we can turn off that Giants and Yankees game once in a while, or that celebrity dancing every so often, and maybe we can be a little bit, get a presence at these places. And some people actually get elected to these boards. And sometimes they're looking for people. I mean, I remember getting elected because they needed 30 bodies, and I was like 15th out, and they said, you know anyone else? My wife, she's elected, right? So I was an elected official. I actually haven't anyone cast a vote for it. He was looking for people to do these things, okay? Massachusetts green communities, there's about 112 now out of 365 towns. That's a whole lot. They've got 4 full-time people using taxpayers' money to push Agenda 21 in Massachusetts. And we've actually caught them on tape. We have a video where one of the persons says, he's laughing, and he said, we bribe people, ha 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 ha. How do they bribe them? They say, if you join a green community, we're going to give you all kinds of wonderful things. You're going to get a lot of money from the state, right? Of course, that's nice. And they say there's strings attached. I don't call them strings, I call them chains, you see. See, the towns can't print their own money, right? And they'll say, look, there's money there. I hear this rationale that if we don't take it, somebody else will. That's not it's not moral, but that's what they'll do. So they take it because they'd rather take the money than have to raise the taxes, the property taxes, or close the school, or close the swimming pool, and that kind of thing. Now, there are lots of ways to fight this. And when I mentioned Facebook, a lot of hands went up. Now, Facebook is one of many, and if you don't belong to it, some people just have some kind of issue with it, that's fine. I've used this very effectively to find activists around the country. Now, I cover a good chunk of the Northeast, New England. I work with Kip. And there was a couple at our meeting yesterday, on Saturday, as a result of some Facebook work we were doing. And I'm going to recommend some of them that you should belong to, okay? And I should add realtors. That's Lynn's page, right?
Well, my other page is Ban Agenda 21 in all 62 counties in the state of New York.
What you can do is friend Lynn, and then you can get, see what she belongs to. But the one that I actually became an administrator, a guy in northwestern part of the country started it, Stop UN Agenda 21, Stop ICLEI. There's probably about 6,000 people that look at this on a regular basis. That's not bad, mostly in the United States. The John Birch Society has a good one. It's called Choose Freedom, Stop Agenda 21. Fighting Agenda 21 in the USA, and then I think almost every state has something like that. Fighting Agenda 21 in New York, Fighting Agenda 21 in Connecticut. Moms Against Agenda 21, Get the U.S. Out of the UN, local and regional. Oh, by the way, almost every newspaper has a Facebook page. What a great way. They may not run our hard copy letter that we may email them, but you write a letter, you can paste it onto their Facebook page. We did that in Carver, Massachusetts. I wrote a letter suggesting that the Carver reporter do an investigation of ICLEI. Well, they gave us an interview. A few of us, 4 or 5 of us were interviewed, and that was in May of 2011. By August, ICLEI, they kicked ICLEI out. We caused quite a stir in that little town, right? And Facebook pages of towns and cities and even counties you can go right on their Facebook page. I think sometimes you have to click like before you can post, and you can post away. And lots of people see this.
They delete all my posts.
But at least they're there. They're there for a little while, all right? So they might not delete right away. In some cases, they're there indefinitely. Okay? What's good about this is you get a lot of up-to-date information from these groups. You know, our magazine, which is a great we do have an online version, but we don't necessarily get stuff the minute it happens. But you can get stuff when a town leaves ICLEI, when a bill's introduced, and also post your activities and results, because people need to be motivated. They see oh my goodness, it's so bad. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody cares. Oh, Massachusetts, look what they're doing there. Oh, look what they're doing in Connecticut. Man, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it here. See? So that's why we do it. So you get ideas, promote ideas, and implement ideas. Okay? That's why we use this. Okay? Copy and paste videos, articles, and comments. Okay? Now, so for example, a video on, I mentioned the video here, Agenda 21 for elected officials. It's 15 minutes long, and I just go to YouTube and I do a little copy, and I go to these Facebook pages and paste, and the video comes right up, and I make a little comment. Hey folks, you should watch this. This is very important information. And what I usually do, if it's an activist group, I'll say, if you're interested in hosting a presentation, please contact me. I've got a lady in Canada, 2 people in Canada have contacted me in the last 6 months. I had a lady in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and I had a lady in Oklahoma. Yeah, notice all the ladies that are active in this, isn't that wonderful? Florida, Louisiana, somebody from Missouri called me recently. And of course, we have an organization all over the country. I don't have to fly all over the country to put these out. We have people all over the place that will do these things too. So you find like-minded people and network with them. Copy and paste your news releases and letters to the editor to the Facebook pages of the newspapers, TV news, online news sources such as Patch. So let's say that Patch, you can actually sign up for Patch, just sign up with your information, email address, what have you, and you can actually put your news releases on there. And when they do an article about when they come to an event, you can know. Now some people, you know what a troll is, right? Just someone who's on these things and all they do is just hammer people. They have a lot of time on their hands, probably live in their mother's basements, you know. I don't have all that much time to spend hours and hours nothing they say, they're ever going to be happy with anything you say. So you make 1 or 2 postings, but if you post information that people who agree with us will get, that's what you want to do. Don't spend all your time debating the point with these trolls. I get tempted to do that too, by the way. It can waste too much time. There's this guy in I think he's in California, he's always posting stuff, every time the JP is mentioned anywhere, and I said, why do I waste my time with this guy, you see, but anyway, and politicians have Facebook pages. And you go to their Facebook page and post information there too, right? I tell people, when I go fishing, I put worms on my hooks. And what I mean is that always give your contact information out. For more information on this, if you like to do this or that, and some people are reluctant to do that, well, Kip's a full-time guy, I'm a full-time guy here, you can use my contact information. I know Lynn probably wouldn't mind people contacting her if they live in this area or what have you. So always, because it's not just about putting information out there, you want to find more activists, more freedom activists that will help us, because we don't have enough right now. There are other groups. Meetup is another group. It's not as big as it was as Facebook, I think, but it's still used by a lot of people. And you can post information on your Meetup groups. Anybody belong to a Meetup group? Is it a good is it a viable Meetup page?
It's gotten less and less use over the years. People are usually using more Facebook. I saw a lot of contacts.
Yeah, I have my local chapters, North Jersey, Central and Southern New Jersey, and New York. They all have meetups, and they post the events. So anybody who sees them, they can even see an event that South Jersey has.
Right.
And it's really, I'm getting more and more phone calls on them now.
One thing I wanted to mention, really important, is that you make sure you print out your contact list, especially on Facebook or Meetup or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
You keep them updated, a hard copy, because someone unfriends you or something, or somehow gets you banned.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. By the way, when you do post, never be, never be nasty, never be rude, so they don't have a basis to ban you and what have you. There are a lot of social media groups there. There's one called Patriot Action Network that I belong to. I don't know, I think about 15 or 20,000 people that are on there, and I post videos on there. I posted a video, and they made it the video of the day. I got 500 hits in about 2 or 3 hours, you see. So, and other people contact me as a result. So there's many more, and you probably know of a lot too. You can spend the rest of your life just copying and pasting. We can't do that, so we got to focus on, okay, let's where we can be effective. You see, if you're involved in Second Amendment issues, maybe there's a lot of Second Amendment groups out there that say, oh, I know, oh, that's my buddy there. Oh, well, he must be right because I agree with everything else he says. So take advantage of that too. But how about the media? Now, a lot of people automatically assume the media is going to be hostile, okay? And many times they are. So my answer to that is, so what? Let them come and write their smear. Because the people who read the stuff that we want to get involved read between the lines. We had the Southern Poverty Law Center come to a meeting in Connecticut, last January 2012. Oh, was it December? And the article was almost fair. I couldn't believe it. But to have the Southern Poverty Law Center come to your meeting, it's almost like, oh, that's I put on my resume. That's something to be proud of, you see. People will read between the lines, as I said a few seconds ago, when they know the source is so ridiculously slanted, you see. So to me, it's a badge of honor when they come out. We had somebody from Esquire online talk about somebody needing a makeover. And I had my son, and my son Nathaniel in the back here was manning the book table. This was not too far from my home. And he said, the musty books, that was his lead story.